Are there any really like fine line common denominators that you found between everyone that's grieving?
Definitely. I think I'd say there's probably 3 topics that we talk about on our podcast and on our social media channels that always seem to get a resounding like response. And that is the experience of grief brain, which Im is very good at explaining. So I'll let Im tell you what grief brain is. Also loneliness and like people dropping away and friends not showing up, or the people that you thought were going to show up not showing up. And that's always a really big topic from our community of grievers. And also anxiety, feeling really anxious after a loss is also another thing that we hear from a lot of our community, because it's almost like when you've experienced like the worst possible thing, it's like you worry and create this anxiety almost as like a safety blanket. It's like, well, if I worry and if I'm anxious, and it's a physical response to loss as well, but quite often we feel like the anxiety almost keeps us safe from the terrible things. So I would say, would you agree, Im? They're kind of like the 3 most common things that we hear from our grieving community.
Definitely. Yeah.
I'll
tell you.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry,
I wasn't sure I wasn't sure if that was an internet pause for me to speak, or is that just to be clear with everyone listening? So was it?
I don't know. I was just going to fill you in on what grief brain was.
Please.
You think we'd know our shit being podcasters? Like, so we wanted to get to the bottom of why so many grievers feel like really foggy and forgetful and confused after loss, which is one of the most common things that we hear in our community. So we interviewed a world-leading neurologist called Dr. Lisa Schulman. So she basically explained to us that when you are grieving, it's like an emotional injury to the brain, and it actually rewires your brain, changes the neuroplasticity, weakens the nerve growth, which then impact all the cognitive functions. So there's actually a reason as to why we feel all of these things. And finding that information was so validating, because a lot of people think that there's something wrong with them. A lot of people go to the doctor to get blood tests because they just feel like there's something sinister going on, or it's really, really common to feel like you're not well or there's something seriously wrong. So hearing that, it's just really validating, and knowing that like grief is actually physically really exhausting, and this exhaustion can last for a long time, and this fogginess and forgetfulness can last for a long time. And it can also come back years later, in the lead up to the anniversaries or milestones. You can start to feel exhausted again or foggy and forgetful again, and you start judging yourself. Why am I feeling this way? But it's grief. And like you said before, David, like it evolves. But I don't think grief is something that we ever really get rid of. It's something that I think we learn to carry over time.